All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about something bigger than just selling a house. We're talking about how to sell a lifestyle, a dream. Specifically, we're going to break down how to transform a San Diego home from just a property on a list into something truly irresistible, something that feels like the California dream.
So, let's start with a wild question. How can a few $1,000s, let's say $6,000, add over $200,000 to your home's value? It sounds almost too good to be true, right? But this is exactly what we're talking about with professional home staging. It's not a cost, it's probably the single best investment a seller can make.
And I've got the numbers to back it up. Let's start with the big one. On average, homes that are professionally staged sell for a whopping 17% more than homes that aren't. Think about that. On a $1 million property, yeah, the numbers get big fast.
But it's not just about getting a higher price. It's also about speed. Staged homes sell, on average, 88% faster. And that's huge, right? That means fewer mortgage payments, less time worrying, and moving on with your life quicker.
So you put it all together, the higher price, the faster sale, and what do you get? Well, the return on that initial staging investment can be as high as 500%. I mean, from a purely financial perspective, it's pretty much a no-brainer.
So you might be wondering, how on earth are these numbers even possible? Well, it's because great staging isn't really about decoration. It's not just about making a room look nice. It's a calculated strategy, and it's all based on understanding buyer psychology, how people think, and maybe more importantly, how they feel when they walk into a home.
Let's break down that psychology. A huge 83% of buyers say staging makes it easier for them to actually picture themselves living there. It helps them mentally move in. It also solves what we call the empty room problem, where you can't tell how big a room is or where the couch would go. And it sends a powerful signal to the 71% of buyers who are looking for a turnkey, move-in ready home. But maybe the most crucial part, it creates those amazing online photos that make people want to see the house in the first place.
Okay, so now we get the why it works. Let's talk about the what. What style actually works for the San Diego buyer? To do this right, you've got to speak their language. And that language, its foundation really begins with the principles of modern design. Now, first things first, we need to get something straight. Modern is not the same thing as contemporary. They're often used interchangeably, but they're totally different. Modern design is a specific style from the last century. Think mid-century classics. Its whole philosophy is form follows function, which basically means everything in the room should have a purpose. It's all about getting rid of the unnecessary fluff.
And these are its core ingredients. You've got minimalism, the whole less is more idea. It's built on strong, clean, geometric lines. The color palette is very calm and neutral, lots of whites, grays, and blacks. This lets the home's architecture do the talking. And it's all about celebrating natural, honest materials like wood, metal, and leather. All of this works together to create a feeling of openness and flow.
But here's the thing. Pure, textbook modernism can sometimes feel a little cold, a little sterile. And for a place like San Diego, that's not the vibe we're going for. So we need an evolution of that style. We need what's called California modern. This is where we take all those clean, modern principles and we infuse them with the warm, relaxed, coastal feel that is quintessentially San Diego. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. Look at the difference. Where pure modernism can feel stark, California modern is all about being warm and inviting. It takes that function idea and adds a huge layer of comfort and livability. And this is the big one. It shifts from being this kind of universal style to something that's totally rooted in the local landscape, really hammering home that indoor-outdoor connection that everyone in San Diego craves.
So how do you actually get this look? Well, it all starts with that seamless indoor-outdoor flow. Think big glass doors opening up to a patio that feels like another living room. The color palette gets warmer, bringing in tones from the landscape, ocean blues, sage greens. And texture? Oh, texture becomes your best friend. You layer things like linen, rattan, warm woods. This is what keeps a minimalist space from feeling cold. It's clean, yeah, but it's also incredibly cozy.
Oh, and a quick pro tip just for the San Diego market. Right now, authenticity is absolutely everything. Buyers here are smart. They're kind of over trends like shiplap, which feels a little out of place, and those super sterile, all-white rooms. They want real materials. They want things that feel genuine. That's really the new definition of luxury.
Okay, we've covered the theory. We know the why and the what. Now let's get to the fun part, the how. We're going to walk through the practical steps for actually bringing this California modern style to life in a room.
The first step is usually subtraction. A professional stager will often come in and take out maybe half the furniture, just to make the room feel bigger and more open. Then they'll float the furniture that's left, pulling it away from the walls to create these nice, intimate conversation areas. This helps to find a clear path for people to walk through. And finally, a big area rug is used to anchor that whole seating area and pull it all together into one cohesive space.
Next up is lighting, which is so important. And the pros always think about it in 3 distinct layers. First, you have your ambient light, which is just the overall light in the room, like from a chandelier. Then you add task lighting, like a reading lamp by a chair, which defines a specific activity. And last, you add accent lighting, which is like a spotlight you use to show off the home's best features, like a cool piece of art or a fireplace.
Now, if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed by picking colors, don't worry. There is a super simple rule that designers use all the time to create a perfectly balanced room. It's called the 60-30-10 rule. Basically, 60% of your room should be a dominant neutral color. That's usually your walls. 30% is a secondary color, like your sofa or a big rug. And that last 10%? That's your fun pop of accent color, used in small doses on things like pillows or artwork. It's a formula that just plain works.
All right. Knowing what you should do is only half the equation, right? Knowing what not to do, well, that's what really separates the pros from the amateurs. So let's talk about the biggest mistakes that can completely ruin your staging efforts.
And here it is. This is the single biggest trap of modern staging. You try so hard to make it clean and minimal that you end up creating a sterile, cold showroom. It might look good in a magazine, but it feels lifeless, and buyers just can't connect with a space that has no soul.
So what's the fix? It's simple. You fight the cold with warmth and texture. The antidote to sterile is layering. You throw a chunky knit blanket over a smooth leather sofa. You put a warm wood coffee table on a plush rug. You combine all of that with warm, layered lighting, and all of a sudden, the room comes to life. It has personality. So let's just bring this all back to the money one last time. Look at this. For a $1.5 million home, a small investment in staging can lead to a net profit of nearly $250,000. And the alternative, not staging? That often means you're looking at a $50,000 price drop almost immediately. When you see it laid out like this, the choice is pretty clear.
This quote, right here, this really gets to the very heart of everything we've talked about. The goal isn't just to make a room look good in some generic way. It's to create a space that feels like it could only exist in San Diego. It's about making it feel authentic, aspirational, and deeply connected to the local lifestyle.
And that really brings us to our final question for you to think about. Are you just selling a house with 4 walls and a roof? Or are you selling the San Diego dream? Because once you understand the psychology of staging, you realize the product isn't just wood and drywall. It's a ticket to a way of life that people all over the world want. And when you sell that dream, you unlock the true value of your home.